will deliver its verdict over the legal tussle on the 2023 presidential election to determine Bola Tinubu's fate in the appeal filed by Atiku Abubakar and that of Peter Obi. And the Senate is explaining the reasons for the purchase of Toyota Land Cruiser, which they say will be for utility and operational use. We'll be listening to the National Assembly on this matter tonight. Thank you so much, everyone. Welcome to the program. This is Politics Today, live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Wakimalo in Abuja. The nation is keeping his fingers crossed the eve of when the Supreme Court, the apex court in the land, will be delivering its verdict on what has become a major national discourse and what Nigerians are expecting to see how it all pans out. Well, in law, they say there's usually going to be an end to litigation. This is going to be one of it. So tomorrow will be the very end to the litigation on the appeal filed by the APM, the PDP, Labour Party, Peter Obi, and Atiku Abubakar, and we'll be hearing from the highest court in the land tomorrow what their final ruling will be. Before we get deep into our conversations for tonight, let's tell you a prominent Nigerian lawyer and rights activist, Mr. Femi Falana, has written to the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Mr. Wale Edun, requesting the power to help recover the sum of $34.2 billion In a letter dated October 24, 2023, Femi Falana, a prominent lawyer and senior advocate of Nigeria, wrote to Adebayo Olawale Edun, the Honorable Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy and the Minister of Finance in Abuja. The letter urgently requested the recovery of $34.2 billion, which had been collected by the Nigerian National Petroleum Commission Limited, NNPCL, on behalf of the Federation. This request was prompted by a revelation during a Senate committee hearing that the NNPCL had withheld these funds, which originated from dividends paid by the Nigerian Liquefied Natural Gas Limited, NLNG, between 2004 and 2021. The Senate Committee's investigation disclosed that the NLNG had generated substantial revenues over the years, including dividends and tax payments to the government. The letter emphasized that the NNPCL's decision to divert the $34.2 billion from the Federation lacked legal backing. They called on the Minister of Finance to direct the NNPCL to remit this sum to the Federation account. It also warned that possible legal action at the Federal High Court to recover the funds if the request was not honored by the minister, also seeking the court's directive for the NLNG to remit dividends earned by Nigeria to the Federation account. The letter was signed by Mr. Femi Falana himself, a senior advocate of Nigeria. Tonight, we'll be getting some insights from the National Assembly on the real reasons why they want to purchase the kind of vehicles they decided to buy. We heard from Senator Sunday Karimi yesterday and telling Nigerians on their reasons. Of course, we heard from their counterparts in the lower chambers and the green chambers on why and how they hope to buy the vehicles, which they say will aid their work. We'll be getting some insight and more details on why they chose that sum of vehicle and the reasons, what they will be needing it for. Before we get into that, we'll also be analyzing for you tonight the Supreme Court, the anticipation, and some of those things that you need to expect as the Supreme Court will be delivering judgment tomorrow. Before we get into all of that, let's serve you with some of your political roundup stories.
President Bola Tinubu today launched the 2024 Armed Forces Remembrance Fund. At a brief ceremony which took place at the council chamber, the president says the country owes a debt of gratitude to our gallant troops who have risen to the challenge of securing the country. The president underscored governor's commitment, and an 18 billion naira has been approved for the payment of the group life insurance benefits for the families of fallen heroes of the Nigerian Armed Forces. President Bola Tinubu has written to the Senate for the expeditious consideration of the confirmation of appointment of Adamu Aliyu as chairman of the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission (ICPC), the appointment of Saka Bolaji Suleiman and Professor Dantata as members of the Federal Judicial Service Commission was also conveyed in a letter to the Senate President, where the President sought the Senate's confirmation. Meanwhile, the Senate equally swore in Senator Amos Yohana, representing Adamawa North Senatorial District. He is replacing Senator Elisha Abu, who was recently removed after the court voided his election as a senator representing Adamawa North District. The chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission is seeking the support of civil society organizations in Nigeria to make the forthcoming governorship elections in Imo, Bayelsa and Kogi states free, fair and credible. The INEC chairman was speaking at a meeting with members of civil society organizations in Abuja, where he says the commission will need the support of all critical stakeholders, including the political parties, civil society organizations, the electorate and security agencies to make success of elections in Nigeria. The Sokoto State Election Petition Tribunal has upheld the election of Aminu Tambuwal of the People's Democratic Party as a duly elected senator representing Sokoto South Senatorial District. The tribunal, in a unanimous judgment, dismissed the petition of the All Progressives Congress candidate, Senator Abdullahi Ibrahim Dambaba, for lack of merit after presenting documents and evidences that are not reliable. The Julius Abure group of the Labour Party is accusing the Minister of State for Labour, Honourable Nkiru Kanye Jocha, of working with the Lamidi Apapa group to disrupt the party. The group also alleged that the minister is being sponsored by some APC leaders in the southeast to cause crisis in the party. The President General of the Igbo Apex Socio-Cultural Group Ohaneze Ndibo, Chief Emmanuel Inwoyanwo, has threatened to sue the federal government if it fails to adjust and be fair to the southeast by giving them more ministerial appointments like other zones of the country in the Federal Executive Council. Mr. Inwoyanwo at a news conference in Owerri, the Imo State capital, says it is unfair for the president to give the southeast only 5 slots for ministerial appointments while other zones have 10 ministers. He describes the action as unfair and contravenes the principles of federal character.
Thank you so much indeed, everyone, for staying with us. Let's tell you that the Supreme Court is set to deliver judgment tomorrow, which is the 26th day of October 2023, in the cases of the Labour Party and its presidential candidate, Peter Obi, the People's Democratic Party and its candidate, Atiku Abubakar, and the All Progressives Congress, APC, and its candidate, Bola Tinubu. The PDP presidential candidate and his Labour Party counterpart have lodged appeals challenging the September 6th ruling of the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal that upheld Tinubu's electoral victory. Judgment date was confirmed by all parties involved earlier today, and it's a last sitting on Monday. The Apex Court reserved judgment filed by Atiku and the PDP against the verdict of the Presidential Election Tribunal Court, which affirmed Tinubu's victory in the February 25th presidential poll. A 7-member panel of the court, led by Justice Iya Onkoro, announced these on Monday after counsels to parties adopted their briefs of argument and made final submissions. The Apex Court also took argument from lawyers to parties on the motion filed by Atiku to supply fresh evidence on forged documents. And so we've been getting some explanation. The Senate yesterday justified a planned purchase of luxury vehicles for lawmakers in spite of the dissenting voices in the last few days. The chairman of the Senate Committee on Services, Senator Sunday Karimi, says that the leadership of the 2 chambers of the National Assembly have decided to buy these vehicles for lawmakers because of durability and maintenance for the period of 4 years. He further stated that Nigerians were picking on lawmakers but ignoring ministers. According to him, some ministers have more than 3 Land Cruisers, Prado, and other vehicles, and questions are not asked. Let's get some insight on some of these issues. Senator Sunday Karimi, the chair of the Senate Committee on Services, joins us live here in our studio. Thanks so much, Senator, for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
It seems that Honorable, I've still not gotten over calling you Honorable.
It's okay. What's in the name?
They say once the senator is always the senator. I guess once the honorable is always an honorable.
There's no problem about that.
All right, thank you so much indeed. This controversy, I like us to it because I'm going to take you around a few issues, but let's tackle these vehicle issues. Do you think it's the right time to buy such an amount of vehicles? as the nation is right now?
Okay. You see, if you look at the 3 tiers of government that we're running, the executive, the judiciary, and the legislatures. At the level of, we are talking of ministerial positions, directors in government circles, AMSECs, even in the judiciary, the justices of the Court of Appeal, the High Court judges, not to talk of the Supreme Court justices. You check out the vehicle they are using. They are using the same utility vehicle that we're talking of. So what is the problem with legislatures that every assembly, Nigerians will complain about the vehicles they buy for our legislatures? Let me tell you, we need these vehicles for oversights. We use these vehicles to travel all over our constituencies. And you find out that after 4 years, the value of this vehicle depreciates. And at the end of 4 years, the final value, they will ask us to pay and go with the vehicle. When I was in the House of Reps, that was done. So it is not...
So the vehicle you used in the House of Reps is still with you? You took it home?
But I paid for it at the end of the day.
How much did you pay for it then?
I cannot remember now. Cannot remember.
But it was at a ridiculous price because you have used it for 4 years.
Not a ridiculous...
But at a very reduced price.
Because of the depreciation
of it.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, some of the senators who are returning senators right now, they will get also new vehicles.
The one that they used in Night Assembly,
4 years ago.
4 years ago, the depreciated value as at the time they left, they paid for it.
So it's now 100% theirs.
But they paid. It's not that they didn't take it free.
Okay, so the lawmakers are not meant to pay proratively for the vehicles. No, it's supposed to be a purchased vehicle for you. It's an official vehicle.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be given to you by the government.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
So if you do not want to take it home after 4 years, you leave it.
You leave it.
But it's supposed to be paid. It's not as though I have an official vehicle as a channel staff because of my status, because of my level here, working here.
Yeah.
So in some other climes, what you have is that you pay instrumentally for a vehicle like that until you finish paying it.
No,
that is not your case.
Yeah.
So Nigeria is buying these vehicles for these lawmakers.
Yeah. And at the end of your tenure, the depreciated value, they cost it, you pay for it.
Okay. Yes. So how much is this vehicle?
Let me even tell you, the cost of this vehicle, they are not even determined by us. They are determined by the civil servant. We have a department, just like every other agency of government that is in charge of procurement. You see, the vehicle that you're buying for senators and the one you're buying for House of Reps, they are the same price.
So they are buying Land Cruiser too?
No, they are buying, I think, Prado.
Okay.
But Prado. But I think the presiding officers, maybe they are buying Land Cruiser, I think.
So what is the price at which it's being sold to the lawmakers?
Let me tell you how they determine the price. Just like the Procurement Act. For items that you are procuring, the market price plus 25% profit margin and VAT, the hard VAT also, the 7.5% VAT. You know that VAT will be taken back. Even the 25% that is added, they will still take away the normal tax of 5% from it. You see, let me tell you something, Sean. Now, as I'm talking to you, some of the vehicles that were purchased in 7th Assembly, 8th Assembly, 9th Assembly, they have not been fully paid for. Like you are a businessman that they bought vehicle from you 7 years ago at, say, 7 million naira, for example. And up to now, they have not finished paying the 7 million naira. By the time they finish paying, you know you have even lost everything.
So you cannot tell us now
what I'm telling you, sir,
the rate at which the National Assembly is getting
the rate at which they bought the vehicle. If you know the market value of if you go to Elisari or go to any of these outfits, if the cost of Land Cruiser says 150 million or 160, I don't know, or 170, depending on, you know, the rate of exchange keeps changing.
Yeah.
Add what a department under procurement, what they will do, they will go and check the market price. And they give the percentage that is allowed under the Procurement Act.
Okay, so the reason why I made an example of myself is because not only that you use a vehicle, because if you, according to you said these vehicles are utility and operational vehicles.
Yeah.
Utility and operational vehicles are not supposed to be kept by individuals. So what you are getting is status vehicles, which you are using for utility purposes.
Yeah.
A status vehicle is what you can, that befits your status.
Yeah.
So that's why I gave an example of myself. Now, is it true that the lawmakers are buying at the rate of 160 million, the Land Cruisers?
Even now, John, at the rate of dollar exchange now, I don't know whether Land Cruisers sell in the market at 160 million. Are you getting me? They will not, if it's 160 million in the market, they will not come and supply to you at 160 million because you are not going to pay them their money outrightly. And the law, I've just said it.
So, but the federal government is paying outrightly to those who are supplying the National Assembly.
No, they're not paying outrightly. They pay proratically.
Okay, because at the moment, I compare prices.
Just
a moment. One of the top suppliers or sellers of vehicles here in Abuja, I didn't even go to Lagos. I just found out, I made my research here in Abuja. The range is between 140 million and 145 million for a Land Cruiser. But what we understand that they're buying those vehicles for you and your colleague is at the rate of 160 million.
I'm not even telling you now it's 160 million.
That's what we understand. That's what I'm asking. We understand that that's how much it's going to cost, 160 million.
I've just said something now, Sean. If you go to an outlet in Abuja and you are going to pay cash or you're going to transfer money to them outrightly, you can get it at 150, I don't know. But nobody will supply you that vehicle if you are not going to pay. I've just said something now, that some people have been home for vehicle purchase for 7 years ago. So you have to give them a profit margin. If not, the loss will be too much.
All right.
Because we are not going to pay outrightly.
So, Senator, let's not use the 160 million figure. Let's use the 140 million. And you say you chose Land Cruiser over Prado, right?
No, I said Prado, the House of Rep guys took.
So why didn't the senators use Prado instead of Land Cruiser?
You see, it's been the practice. When I was in House of Rep, while we were using Camry, senators use Prado. Are you getting me? Even last assembly, the same thing. So they don't give us the same, you know?
Because, I mean, they believe that senators are higher in status than the senators. Yeah. So because the market price of the Prado is about 85 to 90 million naira.
Yeah.
So when we wonder, so if you minus Land Cruiser and Prado, you give and take a 50 million naira difference in what you would have chosen to buy. Senator, there are other vehicles that are being produced locally, like GAC that has been coupled in Lagos. There is the vehicles that are being produced locally, owned by a Nigerian-owned company. There are a couple of them that goes with the same status, the same kind of features for about 40 million naira. Is there a reason why you do not want a locally made vehicle?
Today, we decided for
a foreign manufactured vehicle.
For Toyota, because Toyota has a name and a long-standing name for quality and durability. Tomorrow, we might decide to go for we chose Land Cruiser Toyota because they are tested, they are tried and tested. Yeah, tomorrow we patronize as a local manufacturing companies develop. We're going to patronize them.
Senator, do you imagine that this might be discouraging for Nigerian manufacturers when at a point in time a lot of people are saying, let us look inward and patronize locally made stuff to encourage production in Nigeria?
We have not even fully petitioned them. I'm sure there are bosses, one or two, that from departments in the National Assembly.
Because if your colleagues in the lower chambers are buying 360 vehicles, your colleagues in the Senate are buying 109, that's way over, that's about almost 500 vehicles. You think if you purchase from local manufacturers, don't you think it will affect the economy? It will have an impact positively on the local economy?
Yeah, as time goes on, I've just said something, that we went for the vehicles that we chose because of one.
Well, at this rate, are you patriotic, you and your colleagues, Senator?
Yes.
By patronizing foreign-made vehicles over local ones?
I've just said something, that for some mass transit buses and all that,
maybe a few units that you're going to buy. We're talking about buying 500.
As time goes on.
Is that patriotism?
As time goes on.
You swore to be patriotic to Nigeria. Is that patriotism, Senator?
At the same time.
If you are doing this for Nigeria, for the purpose, for lawmaking of Nigerian laws, for Nigerian people, and you're buying almost 500 vehicles, and you're patronizing, you're taking Nigerian money outside of this country, is that patriotism, Senator?
I've just said something, that as we develop in terms of quality and all that, we are going to patronize Nigerian.
Okay, Senator, let me ask you a question. Do you think purchasing about the 140 million worth of vehicle is not illegal?
It's not illegal. If you are saying, let me ask you. It's not. If you go to some states of the Federation, before houses of assembly members are even sworn in, there are vehicles waiting for them, Prado and all that.
Because is that a reason why you lawmakers have to break the law?
And there's no law.
Do you think
can you tell me Nigerian law?
Are you familiar with RAMFAC?
That says that
the Revenue Mobilization Allocation Commission. Revenue Mobilization Allocation and Fiscal Commission.
Yeah.
This is a commission that prescribes how much anybody in the public office will earn and what is accrued to them. Are you aware of what the law says?
Yeah.
Based on what a senator should get and a House of Representatives should get?
And the law says that ministers of government, agencies and parastatal directors, they shouldn't purchase utility vehicle for them.
Let me tell you, Senator, just for a moment.
Yeah.
I've asked you whether you're aware that what you're doing is illegal or not. And you said it's illegal.
It's not illegal.
Are you operating under the RAMFAC law or not, as a public officer?
There's nothing in RAMFAC law that says that you cannot purchase project vehicle, utility vehicles for your service.
Senator.
Their project, let me tell you, we go all over Nigeria for oversight.
And you take this vehicle for oversight?
Yes.
And you don't fly for your oversight functions?
Is it always that if I want to go to my constituency now, where will I fly to?
Well, Senator,
I travel by road.
Senator, would you buy 160 million naira worth of vehicle for logistics and utility? 140 million naira for utility, Senator? That is the status vehicle, Senator, isn't it?
Why are you guys... Ministers are using same vehicle. Directors of government agencies are using same
Senator,
vehicle.
Are you are closer to your people. You've represented your federal constituency. You're representing your senatorial constituency right now. Is it sensitive to be spending 140 million? If I give you 140 million naira cash to take to your senatorial district, won't your people benefit from it?
Let me tell you, Sean. I don't want to go personal now. I don't want to go personal. That same vehicle that you're talking of, before coming to the National Assembly, I have a vehicle that I have bigger than that.
But this is Nigerian money.
Yeah, so
Nigeria does not have money at the moment. So 26 point something inflation rate, with over 34% of Nigerians unemployed.
Are we supposed to?
With over 134 million Nigerians multidimensionally poor. Is it sensitive that those who are supposed to represent the people go to Abuja and lavish themselves with luxury vehicle? Is that sensitive, Senator?
Are we supposed to do our oversight function trekking or going without vehicles?
Maybe you could have considered a more cheaper vehicles to get the job done. Maybe a car. Maybe a sedan.
If I travel to...
Maybe a 25 million naira worth of sedan vehicle might do the job.
If I travel to my constituency with a car now, by the time I go 3-4 times, you know Nigerian roads.
Is that not an indictment on you, those of you who are in power?
That what?
Those of you who are leaders in Nigeria today, is that not an indictment? And we have bad roads in the states, in your local government, in the senatorial district. Is that not an indictment on those of you who are in power?
It's a discussion for another day. You see the level of...
But like Nigerians suffer for the inefficiency of those who are in power,
let me tell
Senator?
You, if you look at Nigerian roads all over the Federation, that we have a serious problem because nothing much has been done in the last few years. Most of our roads, they are terribly bad. In fact, the government cannot even have fund enough to work on those roads. We have to go back into a PPP, a private partnership arrangement where people can invest, toll those roads, and get their money. In return, it is done outside.
We'll find out whether or not what you are doing is illegal or what you're doing as a senator or as lawmakers in the eye of the law is right or wrong, or whether or not it's morally justified. But Section 84 of the Nigerian Constitution empowers RAMFAC to mandate or determine the salaries, allowances of public officials, including members of the National Assembly. And this is what RAMFAC, based on the last published figure of the basic salary of a senator, it says that a senator earns 2-point-something million naira. Therefore, with that, a senator should be entitled to about 8.1 million naira worth of vehicle, which is about 400% of your basic salary. That is what the law under RAMFAC says, Senator. And for your colleagues in the lower chamber, their basic salary as last published was about 1.9 million. And you can draw a car loan to the extent of 7.9 million, but you can't exceed that. That is what the RAMFAC law says. But if you're buying a vehicle of 140 million naira, based on this, it says something is wrong.
I'm not even, don't forget that I'm not, I didn't tell you that I don't even know the figure as I'm talking to you. because it's not my responsibility.
If you're buying a Land Cruiser, we've done our own research, and I've given you a median of what it costs in the market right now.
No,
so we heard that the cost that National Assembly is getting is 160 million. But I've taken that figure and put it under the table. I've given you a 140 million. Prado is about 85 to 90 million naira. So let's assume that you're buying it at 140 million, no matter what the case may be. Senator, can you look Nigerians in the eye tonight and say what you are doing is sensible and appeals to the sensibilities of Nigerians who are poor? Some of them who cannot even afford a food on their table tonight. Some of them will go hungry without being able to provide for their families. Some of them who are multidimensionally poor. Dollar to a naira is about 1,250, and we have our lawmakers buying this kind of vehicle. Is that right? Is that justifiable, Senator?
Sure. Is it only Nigerian senators and House of Rep members that are using?
But does it make it right if you're not the only one? I mean, and I'm not making any allegations against you, and I'm just saying that if anybody is caught doing something wrong, I'm not the only one doing it. Other people are doing it.
Can I ask you a question, Theo?
Go ahead, please.
Your MD, is it MD or the head of your this thing? What type of vehicle is he using?
I use an SUV. That's why I told you.
SUV,
it's an SUV. I use a mini SUV based on the status of my role here. And that's why I drew that inference.
Why didn't you buy Nigerian-made vehicle?
I have. My vehicle is produced here in Nigeria.
Which
I use a GAC that was coupled in Lagos.
Well, how much did you buy?
It's a company. It's an official vehicle.
So, your company chose to buy you
official vehicle as a private organization. But you are a public officer, Senator. And that's why we are asking you tonight. He who comes to equity must come with clean hands. Senator, Nigerians are suffering. There's poverty in the land. Can you for a moment even jettison that idea to show Nigerians that you guys are committed to the plight of the poor people? That you cannot run government as usual. You are a member of the APC, a senior member of the APC. Can Nigerians trust the APC and the leaders of today that they really care about the people of this country?
You know, assembly, we talk of the same thing. Maybe as a local manufacturing plant developer, we may choose to patronize.
The GAC, in collaboration with the Lagos State government, just launched 2,000 vehicles. There is Innocent in Anambra State. There's another young man who is producing a vehicle that will be useful. If you say utility vehicle, is another Nigerian, his name just skipped my mind right now. Not NORD, is a Nigerian young man producing vehicle. And this set of people will look at you, who are supposed to be leaders of Nigeria. How disappointed do you think they would be in you?
I've just said that in future, we would surely as Nigerian manufacturing sector develop.
Senator, you know, a lot of Nigerians may not be happy with you guys right now. Are you aware?
You are seeing a lot of Nigerians there. Nigerians are not seeing other people in the executive.
Is that the reason?
Is that an excuse using enough? The same vehicle?
Is that an excuse enough?
Why are you guys picking on Nigerian?
Because you are the representatives of the people.
Yeah.
You are voted in office to feel the pain of the people.
Yeah.
But it doesn't look like you guys are feeling it, are you?
We're making a lot of sacrifice. You don't know.
Including buying luxury vehicles. Senator, maybe we should leave it. We pray for Nigeria. Let me take you to Kogi State. Why is so much violence in the run-up to the election?
Violence is not peculiar to Kogi. So it's not only in Kogi State that we have violence. And in Kogi State, there's only some skirmishes of violence in the east. Especially, I'm talking of Eastern Senatorial District. If you go to Kogi West, no violence. I am not hearing of any violence in Kogi Central. The violence is more in Kogi East.
Why? Is there anything wrong? Why is Kogi East like a hotbed?
We need to ask the players there. And our governor has said it many times openly that we will not encourage violence, that we should be ready to have a peaceful election. And those that are instigating violence, they are people that are afraid of facing the people. We are ready for APC. We know we are going to win the election. We don't need violence to win election. We are not, APC is not interested in violence. We are interested in going out to vote. APC owns the state, don't forget.
Own it or controls it?
We are controlling Kogi State. I'm sure you are aware.
What about Dino, Abejide are there? These are your brothers.
My brother, do you know the result of last election in Kogi State? Out of 3 senators, we produced 3. Out of 9 House of Rep members, we produced 6. The other 2, they will still come back. They are trying to come back to APC. Out of 25 House of Assembly, we produced 23. So how can you defeat APC in Kogi State with that foundation?
Senator, we need to go now, but I mean, just in 30 seconds, I need to sort of move into other issue. I was just going to ask you, couldn't you have purchased some of these fuel vehicles for your oversight functions?
I've just said the decision to buy this vehicle, that this decision was taken not even by us alone. It was taken before we even came, they did a comparative analysis of cost, of technicalities in terms of durability, before arriving at this.
But when you got into office and you saw that this may not make sense based on economic realities, couldn't you have rejected it and said, look, let's go for something cheaper for the sake of Nigerians?
And
the cost of governance is too high.
With their experience, and you said in 9th Assembly, they used the same Land Cruiser. Senators, in 9th Assembly, they used the same Land Cruiser. In the 8th Assembly, I think they used Land Cruiser also. During
Ahmed
Lawan, Land Cruiser, Saraki, Land Cruiser. So,
but Nigeria of then and today,
so it's not different.
Economic indices are different.
Let me tell you, they took this decision based on the experience.
But the economic realities are not the same.
So
there are more people that are in the poverty net now.
It's not that this is the first time that they are using Land Cruiser. I've just said, even 7 Assembly, I think it was Prado. 8 Assembly, Land Cruiser. 9 Assembly, Land Cruiser.
Senator, we need to go now. But
okay.
I can make an appeal to you. Can I?
Yeah.
As a representative of the people. If you see that the people are suffering and you think that your decision is unpopular, would you, for the interest of Nigerians, rescind and do what is better?
We are doing all possible to make the life of ordinary Nigerians better. They elected us to serve them. And we are going to change things we are going to change their life positively by bringing dividend of democracy to them.
But when they say that you live in luxury and they live in poverty, don't you think that is...
Look, let me tell you.
That is at variance to what you profess.
They know us, they respect us. Just that they are just trying to bring something out of nothing. And we don't have problem with our constituents over this.
All right, thank you so much indeed. Honorable Senator Sunday Karimi, I keep calling you.
No, it's okay.
Call you Honorable. Okay. Senator Sunday Karimi is the chair of the Senate Committee on Services and representing Kogi State in the National Assembly. Thank you so much indeed for clarifying and speaking to some of these issues. Thank you so much indeed.
Thank you. Yeah.
We'll take a break, everyone. But when we return, we'll be talking about tomorrow's verdict from the Supreme Court. Stay with me. The analysis will resume after this break. And us again. Thank you. The Supreme Court justices, 7 of them, will be marching out to perhaps what they call the highest court in the land, the Supreme Court, tomorrow, and will be giving their verdict on the 2023 presidential election. What will it be? It could be either of 3-4 things that could happen from that courtroom tomorrow. We'll say, okay, Atiku, you are right. Peter Obi, you are right. Or Tinubu, you are right. Either of them can be right. Joining me to discuss this is Laulu Akande, a former presidential spokesperson and a political analyst. Thank you so much, Laulu, for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Watch a time in our politics.
It's quite exciting.
Fingers are crossed tomorrow. What are you hoping is going to happen? That courtroom will be, you will be able to feel the emotions tomorrow, isn't it?
Without a doubt. But what I think is important is that we're going to get an end to this litigation. I think that we have lost quite a bit of time for those that have been elected to actually do the work because they have to contend, even after they've been sworn in, they have to contend with all these litigations, and it diminishes the time that they have to deliver for the Nigerian people. And that is why, some of the things that we have to talk about in terms of the reform of some of this situation is, shouldn't we have a situation where cases are completed before people are sworn in? And this is the case in quite a number of African countries, including Kenya, even in places like the United States. It's a model that lays more emphasis on governance because, quite frankly, in the last maybe over 140 days, the president couldn't have the opportunity to actually fully pay attention. I mean, he said it, I think, when he was in Paris, that he couldn't sleep, after the judgment of the PEPT, and that tells you that this kind of litigation, even while it's sworn in, is a distraction. We have to find a way.
Mr. Akande, could you also be, for example, for oppositions who say, oh, as soon as someone, and towing the line of your argument about concluding litigation before swearing in, those who believe that once a president, as powerful as a president is, who determines also Supreme Court justices will have to be nominated, and he might be the one to determine those who will be nominated. So it is in the United States also, where a sitting president would nominate to the Supreme Court.
Right.
And that, look, if that happens, the power that the president wields is so much, so enormous that it impacts on the judgment or on the sensibility of some of the judges. Could there also be an argument?
Well, we hope that indeed the judges, keep and actually jealously guard their independence. It is a very critical pillar for any constitutional democracy. To have the independence of the judiciary is such a big deal. Now, and you're right, even in places like the United States, it's still the president that appoints Supreme Court justices. But we have seen several instances in that country and elsewhere where even though a Republican president, appointed a judge, the judge, once he gets into office, once he or she gets into office, is going to have to dispense the law according to the law and the facts. So I will hope, that even though the president is the one that has the powers, I will hope that that our judiciary will remain independent. So and you're right that the president has enormous powers, especially in our country, because of the practice. But let's hope, and I believe actually that our judiciary is still fairly independent.
Let's look at the timeline. The journey is not so far off from when the election held on the 25th of February up until when Bola Tinubu was declared on the 1st of March 2023 as a winner of that election, to when the case went to the Presidential Election Petition Court. And of course, March 1st, he was declared as a winner of that election. And 29th May, he was sworn in as a president. And sometimes in September, the Presidential Election Tribunal Court upheld Tinubu's election in a unanimous judgment by the 5 judges of the appeal court. And just on Monday, the Supreme Court sat and heard for the first time the appeal coming from Labour Party, PDP, and the APM, and reserved judgment. And that was also decided today that the judgment will be tomorrow. On this matter, there hasn't been, and not predicting or not preempting what's going to happen tomorrow, since 1999, there hasn't been any removal from office due to Supreme Court judgment or any court judgment of any president as that since 1999.
Right. Yeah. So, and I think part of the reason for that is the burden, that petitioners have to discharge to be able to remove a president in a country so big and so large. And if you look at some of the what I would call the experiences that we've had since '99, how difficult it has been, to have a reversal due to the amount of work, the geography of the country, the number of electoral units, that we're talking about, and then how many of those units are you able, at any reasonable given time to be able to say that, yes, we were here, we knew this, so it's such an Herculean task.
It is.
And that's why I said, Shehu, that it is very important, and we have to have that discussion that we must find a way to sort these matters
before
look at it.
Election in February. Yes,
still in
October. In May. So it could have happened.
Even the election was in February. And we are still. This is now October. 8 months
after. We
are still talking about whether some people are still disgruntled or not.
Quickly, Laulu,
to find a way to sort this thing in a shorter time.
I like to. There is something that I like to bring to. I like you to comment on. About the issue of cost of governance, appointment, and all of that. But quickly, let me get your view on because in the judgment you will see what they call the obiter, which are the comments and the views of the justices before they give their final, which is the dissidenda. That's the meat of the judgment itself, the ratio. In all of these, a lot of things that have been raised, issue of certificate, issue of competencies, issue of eligibility and a whole of that. How instructive do you think this process will be to our electoral process and our politics?
Well, I think that one of the things for me that I have seen is that it is very important, especially for people that are contesting political offices, public roles, who wants to be a lawmaker, who wants to be governor, who wants to be president, who wants to be senators and all of that. It is very important for them to go according to the rules. So if you look at the Electoral Act, I'm told that there is a time when if I'm contesting against you, and your information is brought out, you are the candidate of your party or even at your party level, there's a time when people can make observations as to some of the things that you have filed. That time is allowed. And that is under the Electoral Act. There is a regulation for that. That between this time and this time, you can make comments on my filings. You can raise objections. You have the notice and you have the time. Now, people that are in contests must make use of that opportunity, that window to sort the issue. Now, what happens in most cases, and in this case, is that time has lapsed. So basically, people have slept on their right. And now, a very important thing has happened. The electorate they have expressed their will. People have voted. Okay, so it's like the horse has already bolted. Because that time was allowed for you to pay attention to those filings and to do your diligence to present whatever objections that you have before the will of the electorate is expressed. Now, once the will of the electorate is expressed and you had the opportunity to look at the filings, to make your objections, but you did not, you have lost, you basically, like lawyers will say, stepped on your right, and now the will of the majority has been expressed. The people have voted. It is such a very difficult thing to overturn, judging from the rule of law.
It's going to be interesting to hear the positions of the honorable justices of the Supreme Court, 7 of them. If it's unanimous, the lead judgment will be read. If they're dissenting judgment, the dissenting judgment will be read, lead judgment will be read, and we'll know what exactly will become. So we do not know for now how this all will pan out. But we understand that President Bola Tinubu today has nominated and forwarded same to the Senate for appointment into the Resident Electoral Commissioner. These are senior official roles in the electoral umpire. 9 of them representing states like Edo, Ekiti, Nasarawa, Gombe, Kwara. And these are names, let me get your view on issues of appointment into INEC and those who are of the view that we should have an independent way of appointing those who conduct our elections.
Yeah, so let's even start from the name. It is called the Independent National Electoral Commission. I think this is one of the baggages that we got from the military rule. That even though we call this agency Independent National Electoral Commission, but you have the president, in this case, being the one to nominate the members of that independent commission. I think we have to do better. And this is one of the areas where our electoral reforms has to be dusted up. There are, again, places around our world where it is not the role of a president to appoint people who will be the umpires in an election that he or she, whoever the president is an interested party. So I think this is one of the areas that we need to look at closely. Look at, for instance, in the United States, what you have is that, so there are 2 dominant political parties. You have the Democratic Party and you have the Republican Party. Now, they figured out that, both of us have to share the powers of who are the leaders of the Electoral Commission, even though the election is mostly state-based. But at the national level, what you have is that there's a co-chairmanship of the Electoral Commission. So the Democrats will nominate one chairman and the Republicans will nominate one chairman. And so that way, they are sure that there's a balance. The system where we have today, since 1999, where it is the president that nominates, I think we need to look at it. And I think this president should lead the way, being a thorough Democrat by himself, should lead the way to push for these reforms.
I have 30 seconds more to go, but I'd like you to comment on this very touchy, and it's the cost of governance. Before you entered into the studio here, you saw our conversation. How will the leaders of today be able to show that they are really committed and really sensitive to the plight of the average Nigerians by the manner in which they conduct themselves and spend state resources?
It's a very important issue, Sheil, because of the dire situation that we have, as a nation. I'm sure you heard what the Budget and National Planning Minister said, I think last week. He basically said the country is broke. That's what he said.
But they're really struggling to pay salaries.
Yeah, they're struggling to pay salaries. Now, we know that a significant portion of the revenue is even going to debt servicing. So we are in a very, very serious times. And the lawmakers and everybody in government, be it in executive or the legislature, ought to be willing to send some signals that they are also ready to sacrifice, and that is what has been missing in the narrative, that Nigerians are finding a little bit insensitive. Now, if you must use an SUV, you need to explain to Nigerians why you couldn't buy Innocent or Jack or GAC, or not. Is it because they are not as durable? You need to explain to the people. Yeah. And in many instances, Sheil, we know that most of these people really have other cars. Will it be a big deal, for them to say, what, because of what is happening in the country today, we give up this privilege?
Let's leave that, and hoping that a lot of people who are watching tonight, some of them who are involved in all of these, will be able to take a moment and think and take a step back and do the right thing and do right by Nigerians. Thank you so much, Laulu. It's always a pleasure having your thoughts on this.
Thank you so much.
Laulu Akande, the former spokesperson to the former Vice President, Yemi Osinbajo, and a political analyst. Thank you so much indeed, Laulu, for your time tonight.
Thank you.
But that's how we draw the curtains on the program tonight, and we are hoping and waiting for the Supreme Court verdict. What will it be? To find out the coverage right here on Channels Television. Don't wink, don't blink. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Sean Kimale. Bye-bye.